Hello everyone, it's me, JuanGamer54, back in video, and today we are back. Yes, we're back. I'm feeling a little bit better, still a little coughing, but I feel somewhat better. But I figured, why not? Let's celebrate this special occasion by doing a reaction video. And of course, Game Theory decided to show us that Poppy Playtime might be ending sooner than we think. It is kind of inevitable that some good things are going to come to an end. And with Chapter 5 essentially coming soon, because, we're going to face the prototype, we're going to figure out how it's going to end. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's do this.
I have solved the ending of Poppy Playtime. Chapter 4 may have only
Okay, come on with that scare. I mean, I was prepared, but still.
Glitchy surface are a few small details that not only tell us where Chapter 5 is heading, but how this entire franchise is going to end. Spoiler alert, this ending is not a happy one.
Oh.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that
it's like that, huh?
Poppy throws at us. And there is a lot of that going on in Chapter 4. Mob clearly saw the success of Chapter 3 and said, let's do that again, but more. We've got more characters, more collectibles, and the most important thing, more game-breaking bugs.
Open with my key coin.
Open!
Dang.
Wealthy, let me in.
Mob Game said, that's a bug if you have your hands full of P coins. Sorry, sad face.
Wow.
I found the key coin bug.
But while the gameplay may be broken, how is the game lore doing? This is the fourth installment after all. And that's
The
about
penultimate.
time where the indie horror lore can get a bit wonky, shall we say. Well, I'm happy to report that it seems like Mob is learning from our FNAF frustrations, because this chapter is full of something we theorists crave. Clarifying details.
Nice.
Things like, what is Poppy's true identity? Well, it's now confirmed that she is in fact Elliot Ludwig's daughter.
I wish you were here, Dad, when you were
It was expected, but it was nice for clarification.
Is Ollie really the prototype? That answer is now a resounding yes.
What did you do with Ollie? I'm right here, Poppy. For you. I'll always be here.
We called both of those, by the way, but truly this chapter
Yep.
is stacked with answers to questions that
We
had
dang
for
knew
a
it, though.
long time. So much so that
We
this
knew it,
video
though.
is going to be the first in what I anticipate will be a 3-part series exploring all of them to figure out what's coming down the Poppy pipeline. So
Really?
if you don't want to miss all of that, you'd better smash that subscribe button fast.
All right, looks like we're gonna be doing this more, I guess.
Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Don't do Pianosaurus like... Dang.
I'm still mad about that. Such wasted potential.
Indeed.
To kick things off, I wanted to focus on one of the biggest questions you can ask about
R.I.P. my boy
franchise like this.
Pianosaurus. He
How
better
is
come
it
back
going
in Chapter
to
5.
end? We've seen it with other franchises, how they just go on and on and on and on. So it can
Ha.
seem like an impossible task. But thanks to a few very specific, potentially offhanded details, I believe Mob has accidentally given the entire game away.
Really?
I spent 2 weeks falling down a rabbit hole that is deeper than Playtime Co. could ever be. And that in
Indeed.
itself is a theory
It's
for another
becoming
day.
too deep.
Once I finally landed at the bottom,
Ow.
I realized that we can not only figure out how exactly
All I'm saying is this. If for whatever reason we are so deep below that not only there's a laboratory, but there's a carnival as well, that's it. I'm throwing I'm throwing the case. I'm done.
Chapter 5 is going to end, we can also learn what's going to happen beyond that, regardless of whether
Beyond?
Chapter 5 is going to be the final chapter or not. So grab your Omni hands, theorists, because I'm going to show you things that Mob never intended for you to see. If you
Okay.
haven't had a chance to play the latest chapter, here's a quick recap so that we're all on the same page.
All right.
It picks up right where we left off at the end of Chapter 3. We head down an elevator shaft with Poppy, who tells us about the allies that we need to find. Upon
Yeah.
doing so, we come face to computer with a new experiment. Experiment 1354. Although, while their body may be new, their voice is oh too familiar at this point. Harley Sawyer, the Doctor. The villain that has been teased throughout the entire Chapter 4 ARG.
The
He
man who
sends us
literally
down into
started
the prison
everything.
Where we encounter Pianosaurus, who, as I've mentioned, dies immediately thanks to another new experiment. Doughy the Dough Man, a creature made from Play-Doh with 3 kids inside of him rather than the usual 1. Doughy...
I still want to know exactly what exactly is he made of, because like as much as we would love to call it Play-Doh, let's be honest, I don't think that's a whole lawsuit coming in. But I mean, let's be honest, they mentioned Barbie, so I mean, like, I'm pretty sure they can say Play-Doh. I mean, like, what else is he made of at this point?
Leads us to a place called Safe Haven, where we reunite with Poppy. She tells us that her plan is to send the whole of Playtime Co. sky high, killing the prototype and every other toy in the facility in the process. Well,
Yeah. Oh, come on!
I want to tell you.
all of Playtime Co. sky high, killing the prototype and every other toy in the facility in the process.
To release their
Also
soul,
trying
possibly.
to save the orphans the prototype has hidden in his lab. Doughy is hesitant because he doesn't want to kill all of these poor innocent toys.
Yeah.
Regardless, we head out only to be chased down by Yarnaby, Harley's lapdog, who then immediately dies. I'm beginning to
Mufasa,
see
no.
a pattern here. After many puzzles and an annoying battle with an underwhelming Barbar Chops, we once again come face to screen with Harley, shutting down his system.
Yeah, the Baba Chops felt underwhelming. I basically said this in my extra channel, but like honestly, the Nightmare Critters could have been more, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the Nightmare Critters could have been done differently. Could have gotten more. Like, they didn't even get cutouts. Pianosaurus got cut out, and we all know what happened to him. We all know what happened to Pianosaurus, but at least he got a cutout. Baba Chops, none. None of the Nightmare Critters. And again, I feel like Baba Chops could have been at least like an unexpected hero. I'm not saying like play a big part, because obviously she's going to be overshadowed by Doughy, because let's be honest, who doesn't love Doughy at this point? But I mean, like, yeah, she could have been like a de facto, rebellious, black sheep and all that. And let's be honest, if Dr. Sawyer doesn't see himself as a god in this factory, I don't know, then that's a surprise to me. But I feel like the Baba Chops could have been used more, as well as the Nightmare Critters. I'm just saying.
And putting an end to him once and for all. His final words to us are that we've saved Doughy. But that doesn't matter now. We get to fulfill Poppy's plan and set the explosives to destroy everything. But they don't destroy everything. They only destroy Safe Haven and all the toys inside. In a fit of rage, Doughy transforms into a horrifying salamander thing for some reason. And he tries to kill us, only for us to flip the tables and kill him first. Guys, I think Poppy might have a Marvel villain problem here. Great villains all killed off in the installment they're introduced in? Shame. Anyway, after defeating Doughy, we find Poppy in the vents, just as the prototype shows up to, quote, take her home. Poppy runs away, leaving Kissy and us behind as the prototype blows up the vents. But instead of killing us, we end up at the entrance to Playtime's lab, the place where the prototype and the orphans dwell. Like I've said, there's a lot going on in this chapter, hence multiple videos. But today's mysteries start in the place we visit the most during our playthrough, Safe Haven. According to a note, this place was designed with blast doors and its own electrical generator in order to keep the Playtime Co. security staff safe should an experiment get out of hand, which I think we can all imagine happened quite a lot.
Yeah.
All of that has made Safe Haven the perfect spot to hide out from those same monstrous experiments like Yarnaby, Pianosaurus, the Doctor, and the Prototype, alongside our new allies. Now, we all knew we were getting an ally or two in this new chapter.
Yeah.
Made that very clear on the game's Steam page, and once the Doughy trailer came out, it felt pretty clear who that was going to be. Little did we know the full amount we'd actually...
Oh, come on!
Little did we know the full amount we'd actually have waiting for us here in Safe Haven. Yes, we have Doughy, Poppy, and Kissy, but this place is full of toys, and none of them are trying to eat my face, which is a nice change of pace, but it did.
But I mean,
raise a
they
few
weren't
questions
exactly
for me.
helping
Up until
us.
Chapter 4, the only toys we'd seen firsthand were either dead or were looking to make us dead. Even Kissy wanted to snack on us until Poppy stopped her in Chapter 3. I mean, I know I look like a snack, but this is not the time. In fact, fact, Poppy
Ha.
was the only one we've known who wasn't trying to do that. That was part of what made her unique. She was the only experiment to act like a human with no aggressive tendencies, at least not towards us. But now, we're being
Sure.
shown that she wasn't the only one. Right at the start of the chapter, we can find journal entries amongst the pile of dead toys for
Of Riley, yeah.
Riley. They're a sweet kid who lost their parents and so ended up at Playcare. After some time, they were, quote, chosen by Playtime, which they thought meant getting adopted, but oh no, they won the grand old prize of becoming a living toy. What's interesting though
Yay.
is we get to see entries from after their conversion. Riley struggles to write at first, however, they do eventually figure it out, and with that, we can see that they are fully aware, fully themselves, and not an aggressive monster. Later on, we can find a VHS tape from two guards talking about their various duties.
Now we getting these toys hanging on the walls.
I will swing on them, to be honest.
We get in the north. Things, whatever they aren't people anymore.
The East is lower security, full of toys that are crying for their parents. They are aware of who they are and have memories from their life before, while the North is for the dangerous monsters, the bigger bodies that we faced throughout these chapters. Reports on Pianosaurus and Yarnaby both.
I will swing on those two guards. I will swing. Oh, my life is so hard. Oh, we have to guard around. These things are humans anymore. Oh, I just want some peace and quiet. Oh, the misery. Ah, shut up. You lucky I ain't there. Otherwise, we're going to be playing backhand or front hand. I'm sorry. It's just that, I don't know, like that. Ooh, they were making me mad.
Talk about their lack of cognitive function and animalistic tendencies. So it would make sense that they need to be in a higher security area. But then what is the difference between them and some of these other less monstrous experiments? Simple. Time. As time went on, things did somewhat improve. Huggy is a monster, but can at least listen to orders. Kizzy is also a monster. She's only not eating us because, like Huggy, she's following orders. Catnap is kinda able to communicate. Mummy is fully functioning, albeit with a bit of a temper towards adults. As time went on, the experiments improved.
So
By the
they
time we
can
get to
evolve,
chapter 4,
essentially.
There are a bunch of toys, including Dowie, Experiment 1322. All of them are starving, and yet they do not look at us as if we are going to be their next meal. It seems like Playtime Co. did figure out a way to keep the orphans' humanity, as well as figuring out how to make them fit into much smaller bodies like Poppy. Something which Harley mentioned during the ARG was a challenging task, leading to Boxy Boo and the larger, bigger bodies in the first place.
Yeah.
However, there is one small hole in this line of thinking. If these later and smaller experiments are supposed
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be pausing so much, but I mean, like, I do have something to say. I hope I hope Game Theory brings up Dowie, because we know that Dowie is not like the other toys. I mean, avoiding the fact that he's made of something, let's just say Play-Doh, but, you know, I feel like it is Play-Doh. But we're just gonna say it's Play-Doh, but I don't think they ever mention it. But anyways, Dowie, not only is he made of Play-Doh, so he can slip through vents and cracks on the wall, but it's the fact that Dowie isn't just one person. Dowie is 3 people. Jack, no, not Ryder. Let's see. All I know is that he has 3 people inside of him. He's 3 consciences inside of him. A boy who has a tendency of being angry. Jack. There was also a bigger kid who's like an adult. So basically, the whole Dowie being protective of the other toys in the Slave Haven, that's come from that adult, that, older kid who was like the pack leader, who was taking care of everyone. And then we have, so yeah, I know, I'm not making sense, I'm sorry. So Dowie is made out of the consciousness of one kid who was essentially like basically the big brother of all the orphans in Playcare, right? Like basically the pack leader. We then have another kid who just has a temper, and that's why Dewey was having all these fits of rage. And then we have, I don't know if this is right, but we also have the other kid who, we saw in the beginning of the game who fell in the vat of Play-Doh and essentially died live on camera. Yes, I said died. Like god dang. I was like, okay, we're opening up like this? So I hope Game Theory does talk about that, because it's basically looking like there could be a possibility that we're going to have multiple toys. There's going to be some toys that have multiple consciousness instead of just, the simple one consciousness to a toy and another consciousness to another toy.
Be more human-like? Why then have we had a bunch of mini huggies, smiling critters, and nightmare critters, smaller experiments that are implied to have been later in the process, acting like rabid monsters? Was Harley just really bad at his job, failing to keep all these children's brains intact? I don't think so. Was it because while they were doing the experiments, they weren't listening to the chillest beats on the internet? It's entirely possible.
Oh, come on, man!
Universe. I'm not sure whether the soothing tones of our lo-fi channel Lo-Fi do. If they did, I'm sure these guys would be way calmer, able to enjoy all the new music that drops every single... As the Doctor doesn't have this, and he's not surgically incompetent, I don't think either of those explain why these new toys are still rabid. Although I am convinced that Harley definitely has something to do with why they're acting like this. I'm sure that
let's be honest.
Clips of Safe Haven, you guys have noticed
who isn't at this point? What has he not done?
It's pretty hard not to, right? The devs were really trying to make sure we noticed it, and so I did my theorist duty and gave it a closer look. A lot of it has the kind of messages we might expect to find. Help us, we will be saved, and a massive mural of Catnap putting the orphans to sleep. But the thing that caught my eye the most was this little side room known in the game files as the Memorial Room. Inside, we see a bunch of poppies and candles around the place, paying respects to those they've lost, which, according to some of the writing, is around 40 toys, 40 children. And the rooms in this room are also painted with murals, and those actually give us more insight into this story of death. There are two sides to the drawing. On the left, we have characters highlighted in blue, some alive, including Kissy Missy, but others are dead. On the other side, we have characters including Boxy Boo and Pianosaurus highlighted in red. These two colors, along
And Boxy Boo was crossed out, so does this signify he's already dead?
Showing us two opposing sides within these toy factions. Blue is the side of good, the side of safe haven, while red is the side of evil, the side of the Doctor, and thanks to a
the
special
no man's
VHS
land,
tape, the side of our favorite villain, the Prototype.
You know I'm still your best shot at cracking that secret. A sound observation. Yes, you have made yourself useful.
There is a literal war going on between these two factions.
with
and the
us
good
being in the
non-rabbit
middle.
Toys are losing. But there is one more side in all of this. One that they believe is going to even the odds and help them win. The one character they've highlighted in white, surrounded by phrases like, "We need you,
Poppy."
We've talked in previous theories about the amount of religious symbolism in Poppy Playtime, with Catnap's worshipping of the Prototype and the Doctor's poem in the ARG reflecting Psalm 23. And this is another example of that. While red and blue are typically ways of showing opposing sides, white represents something pure, something holy. Like Poppy was supposed to be the savior to these toys. She was
But
the
she
perfect
abandoned
toy,
them.
the daughter of Elliot Ludwig. Surely she could do something to help them. But she didn't. She ran away. And because of that, we see those murals of Poppy crossed out. Outside the memorial room is another drawing of Poppy crossed out with questions like, "Where are you?" But the
She
biggest
left
thing we
us.
see are the words, "She left us." If you go and listen to the toys around Safe Haven, many of them talk about whether they should trust Poppy. Why would this time be different?
Can we really trust her this time?
Poppy has left them all with a feeling of betrayal and hurt. This is where the Doctor comes back into the picture. There's a note you can find called the Propaganda Flyer, and it reads as follows, quote, "Poppy leads you to the grave. You fight not to survive, but to die. See where this has gotten you. It's not too late to change your mind. Join us, and we will spare your lives. You have 24 hours. We will not make this offer again." This sentiment about Poppy being
So who made
is all
that?
shared by Harley Sawyer during the Chapter
Oh.
4 ARG. In one of the many
I mean, I feel like, yeah, it just feels appropriate that it might be Dr. Sawyer, to be honest. Like, I don't really see the Prototype I don't really see the prototype writing that, especially if the prototype is to believe to be Thomas Elliot, her dad. But I mean, like, unless Mob Games decides to make a new character, which seems a little kind of too late to make that. But then again, let's be honest. I mean, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the theory, but I mean, like, let's be honest. Dark Deception Chapter 5 will be coming out whenever. And we already know that there's going to be new monsters in there. So why can't Poppy Playtime do the same? I'm just saying. But yeah, I just feel like it might be have I been calling Elliot Ludwig this whole time wrong? Thomas Elliot. Elliot Ludwig. Have I been saying Elliot Ludwig wrong this whole time?
Mail exchanges, he claimed that her path leads to ruin. Plus, this new note is located just outside the Doctor's territory, which makes it seem like this is coming directly from him. He is seeing the weakness in the group left behind by Poppy, and so he is trying to exploit that weakness. This is why I believe we're seeing so many of these smaller, newer toys appear rabid. They were starving, losing the fight. Their savior had left them, and so they were in need of a new one. Prototype was willing to step in and fill those tiny doll-sized shoes.
Oh, come on!
New Dawn
Was willing to step in and fill those tiny doll-sized shoes. He gave them a clear option. Turn their back on Safe Haven, give in to their base instincts, and lose whatever humanity they had left. Just like how Kissy stopped trying to eat us because Poppy told her not to, these toys are now trying to eat us because the prototype told them they could. Eating their fellow toys and other human remains may seem gross at first, but when it's that, or dying of starvation, or worse, the choice is sadly pretty obvious. And then, if they held out for long enough, maybe, just maybe, the prototype would save them. Honestly, I kinda don't blame the toys for making that choice. I've always been suspicious of Poppy, as long-time viewers of the channel know at this point. And right at the end of the chapter, she proved me right. She ran away again.
Abandoning Kissy.
Leaving us to die. She may not have run to help the prototype like I predicted, at least not yet, but she's definitely hiding something.
How much do you know?
When your supposed savior acts like that, of course the opposing deity becomes quite appealing. And the prototype does actually follow through on their threat, blowing up Safe Haven at the end of the chapter, killing anyone left that opposed him. But that doesn't mean that those who switched sides are safe either. This chapter also makes it abundantly clear that he is as much of a liar as Poppy is.
I thought we were gonna leave. Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever.
Just like we saw in the CG5 song from Chapter 3, the prototype promised freedom to these toys. That's what they thought the hour of joy was, but it wasn't. He was just lying to achieve his own goals. Him getting the toys to leave Safe Haven and join his side, it's the exact same thing. And he'll betray them just like he betrayed Poppy, which I guess means it's up to us to step in, be the savior that neither Poppy nor the prototype could be. We save the orphans that the prototype has tracked down here.
Because we're them. We are he. We are she.
Toys who change sides out of desperation. Here's what I would say if the game hadn't already telegraphed exactly what's going to happen next. See, as I was thinking through
oh, come on. I thought we were going to be the people's champion.
Some of the dialogue in the game, and I came across this line from Harley before his boss fight. This isn't the first time Harley has spoken like this. He's always been a fan of speaking poetic in a greater-than-thou dramatic sort of way. But this time, it's different. King. It's not just a poetic styled phrase. It's an actual piece of poetry. The phrase, "for whom the bell tolls," comes from the poem "No Man is an Island," published in 1624. It's about how all of humankind is connected. That the loss of one life doesn't just affect that one person. It affects all of us. Because we are connected. connected. If one dies, a part of us dies too. So when we hear the bell of death sound, it's pointless to ask who it's for, because at the end of the day, it's for us. This feels fitting given it comes just before our big boss fight with the Doctor, who says he hears the bell and asks who it's ringing for, knowing full well that we are about to put an end to him, but that we should maybe reconsider because his death would be a loss for the whole of mankind. His scientific endeavors, his discoveries will now be lost. However, while this poem
Yeah,
is
no
one of
one's
the
caring
first
about
places
that.
the
Goodbye,
phrase "for
Doctor."
whom the bell tolls" was used, it isn't the only time, nor is it the most famous. That honor goes to the book of the same name by Deadpool. Is that
What?
you? Oh, no, it's just Ernest Hemingway.
Oh.
Anyway, this book is about a guy from America called Robert. He goes to Spain to fight in the Spanish Civil War being fought by the Republicans and the Nationalists. He sides with
Oh, come on!
the Silverado ZR2 to Spain to fight in the Spanish Civil War.
All right, we
being
here.
fought by the Republicans and the Nationalists. He sides with the Republicans, who currently are losing the fight, and so joins them in the mountains where they're hiding away. His main companion throughout this story is a woman who has lost her parents and was taken advantage of by the opposing side. The Republicans plan
Dang.
to turn the tides of this battle, blow up a bridge. But there's deception from within their own ranks, and because of that, they lose some of the bombs and their way of detonating them. Now, where have I
That's
heard this
similar.
before? Oh, right. It's literally the game we're playing. Our player character is an outsider to this toy war. We side with Dowie and Poppy, who are losing the battle and hiding out in safe haven away from the Doctor and his forces. Our main companion, Poppy, has lost her dad and was lied to and tortured by the Prototype, the leader of the opposing side. Ollie was supposed to be our friend, but it turned out to be the Prototype lying to us, and so we ended up losing the bombs and not igniting the gas as we planned. Let me tell you, theorists, when I first read this, my mouth was almost as agape as a smiling critter. These stories are practically one-to-one, minus one crucial detail, the ending. We are yet to see the ending of Poppy Playtime, and as we end the chapter heading into the Prototype's lair, the labs, it seems like that ending is coming up pretty soon. But For Whom the Bell Tolls does have an ending, and given how closely aligned everything else has been so far, I have a feeling that means Poppy is going to end in a similar way. In the book, Robert decides to go on the final assault of the bridge as planned, just with some minor alterations. Because they lost their main means of detonating the bombs, he's going to have to be right up close in order to set them off. He does manage to do so, but shrapnel hits his comrades, he gets fired upon by the enemy, and he suffers an injury so great he is unable to retreat with his team. He tries to remain awake as long as he can in the hopes that he can maybe shoot down a couple of enemy soldiers to allow his friends to escape, but he knows that his death is inevitable. The bell now tolls for him. At the start of chapter 4, Poppy told us how the red smoke...
Oh no! So that means we're gonna go further in the lab. Probably have to deal with the last remaining bigger bodies. Heck, we'll probably about to see Boxy Boo, because like at this point, where the heck is Boxy Boo? I mean, I genuinely thought that, you know, with all the bigger bodies and stuff, you would think Boxy Boo would show up somewhere in chapter 4, but I guess not. So chapter 5 is the only thing, or otherwise he's regulated into Project Playtime. But we're gonna most likely die in chapter 5, aren't we? Oh boy.
Can be ignited, and that the bombs were our way of doing that. However, we've now lost our primary means of detonation. The Prototype took the bombs and used them on us instead.
I've taken the liberty of retrieving those explosives from the Foundation. Thanks for collecting those, by the way.
But that doesn't mean we're out of options. In chapter 3, Catnap was spewing the same red gas, and with one shot from our electrified
And Poppy
grab
told
pack
us
hand,
that they
she
were
too
explosives.
burst into flames.
I mean,
You
flammable.
may be able to see where I'm going with this. Much like in the book, our main character is going to fulfill their promise to Poppy and blow up Playtime Co. using the red smoke. We're just gonna have to be close enough to use our grab pack hand to do it, sacrificing ourselves so that Poppy and the orphans can escape. Only that isn't actually how the story ends. I mean,
What?
it is. The book's ending is purposely left ambiguous, but the story the book is based on, the real-life history, that continues on. I mentioned earlier that this book is based on the Spanish Civil War, which which ended in 1939. And if Poppy Playtime is following that history, our heroic sacrifice may be for nothing.
What?
Despite the good fight put up by the Republicans, ultimately it was the nationalists that won the war, with the leader of the movement, Francisco Franco, not only surviving the entire war, but going on to lead the country until 1975, 36 years after the war ended. We may put up a good fight. We may even be able to destroy Playtime Co. like Robert destroys the bridge, but I believe that ultimately we will be shown that Poppy is once again misinformed. The prototype won't be stopped by a simple explosion. And
Dang it!
while we may die and we may save the orphans, the prototype will survive and continue with their plans for this world. What are those plans exactly? Well, that's what I plan on exploring in one of our future theories. So again, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and in the meantime, friends, remember, that's just a theory.
The gift shop cashier of the Playtime Co. building with no idea what the company does behind the scenes, witnessing the Huggy Wuggy statue come to life and kill everyone. I'm just going to say it like this. Well, I guess I'm just going to say it like this. So that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoy. And comment down below, what do you guys think? Honestly, I think it's a good idea. And let's be honest, I feel like we are going to take the battle. We are going to take the battle to the prototype. I mean, like, they're already teasing us that the prototype already has a body with the spider leg and everything. So, I mean, like, at this point, if we don't see it, we're going to have problems. But I don't think exactly that it's going to end in an unhappy ending. I feel like we are going to have a good ending. Or maybe at the very least a somber ending. Like, I don't know, like, okay. Because honestly, I feel like I really need to talk about Poppy's plan. Because, like, as much as we want to say that, you know, Poppy has our interests at heart, let's be honest, Poppy hasn't really done anything to show us that she cared about anyone but herself. Now, can I go insulting her like I would do with Gregory? I mean, that's a discussion for another day, but all I can say is that Poppy isn't exactly giving us any favors to like her. How is Poppy Playtime so good, but the only bad thing about it is Poppy herself? That's crazy. But I feel like we are going to survive, but given how Poppy Playtime is like so popular, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to make a Poppy Playtime 2. So at best, we're probably going to have a happy ending or at least a somber ending. Either happy that, you know, Prototype is defeated, Playtime Co. is destroyed, and, you know, I guess we'll adopt Poppy, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we adopt Poppy. I mean, yeah, it's going to be creepy and it's going to be hard to explain to everyone that, you know, oh yeah, my daughter that I adopted, oh yeah, she's a living toy. It's a long story. Or at the very least, we're going to have a somber ending where, yes, we survive, but Poppy decided to, you know what, she's going to stay behind. She figured that all this happened because of her, so she feels like it's only right that, you know, it only feels it's right that she stay behind and, you know, we take the orphans and get out of here. If that makes sense. But worst case scenario is that they are planning for a Poppy Playtime 2, and we do in fact die, and the prototype lives. I don't know, man. I don't know. It is something to take consideration, and probably I'll have to discuss about this in a different video. But, yeah. I guess I had a lot to say about that. Dang, I should have made this as short as... I really should have made this short. But, yeah. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that way I know you guys enjoy. And heck, you already know. You already heard. that this is just a 1 out of 3 videos. So if you ever want to know when the next reaction video of Poppy Playtime coming up, well, you can surely bet that we're gonna react to it, as well as FNAF and everything else. And maybe you should turn on the notification bell so that way that can also help. Just a thought. I mean, besides, it's free. Subscribing is free. Why are you being stingy? But anyways, I'm sorry, I've been rambling on. But anyways, I'm hope that I'm back. I'm not sure if read-throughs are gonna be back. I'm just still recovering the voice, still with a coughing. But all I can say is that I'm back, somewhat. But yeah, I'm back essentially. This is OneGamer54 signing off.